Hey guys, welcome to Airplanemood. We're in Palermo, Hollywood, Buenos Aires, in our hotel swimming pool. And we spent a month here. Now we're leaving this Sunday, and right now it's Thursday, so we only have 2 full days left here, Friday and Saturday. We just want to give our thoughts and opinions of the city.
I'm going to interview Teresa and get her impressions of Buenos Aires. Um,
So we're going to interview each other.
okay, fine. First question is, what are your thoughts of the public transit system?
I think it's really good. You have basically access to everywhere with the buses, if not the metro. The weird part about the metro is that it doesn't go to some districts, such as Recoleta, but it goes close enough that you can probably get off from Micro Centro and walk there, or take a short Uber ride or bus. But the bus system basically reaches everywhere. You do have to find a little kiosk that sells the Sube cards, or from an official subway station agent. And then you can just buy and refill it with cash. It only allows cash. Aside from the Sube card being a necessary thing, it's really good. And already some metro entrances I noticed are already adding like paying with your credit card or debit card to some of the entrances, not all.
Yeah, I thought the buses were very clean and looked nice and modern, and they're very stylish looking buses. So I didn't have any trouble. I thought it was a good system. Okay, next question. What's the deal with mate, and why can't you find a decent cup of coffee here?
Um, Good question. We found out that here, mate, a whole big bag this big, costs 1 to 2 US dollars, or 2 to 3 Canadian dollars. And if you want a little small bag of coffee, it costs about 10 to 20 US dollars. Even at the local Starbucks, a cup of coffee is 5.50 US dollars. We were
Yes.
shocked, and that's why I think coffee is not so popular here. So I'm not sure.
It costs,
Um, yeah,
yeah, it costs 5 times as much as the mate. So I would imagine that no one wants to drink coffee because of the cost. And also, the coffee that we did get, it was not that great.
yeah,
Like, it's just they don't. I don't know if they have some kind of just don't have coffee beans here or what's the deal. But we went every store that we went, they wanted like $20, $30 for a bag of coffee. Like just a Starbucks bag of
yeah.
coffee in the store is $30. Like, why
It,
would anyone buy that?
we tried the Dia store brand. Maybe that's part of the reason. We tried two types of Dia store brand coffees, the Suave and the Intenso. And both were okay-ish tasting, but we prefer the mates. Mates here are even infused with flavors. Some are like one that we picked up recently, ginger flavored mate.
Okay. Next question. What did what were your thoughts on the meat and the wine and the vegetables?
Uh,
I'll do the vegetables. They had a lot of vegetarian and vegan options in almost every restaurant. They had something, and a lot of times it was marked as vegan, which I guess it's because they want to cater to tourists, or they just have a large local population of vegans, or they realize that it's not that difficult to put one vegan option on their menu. So I didn't really have any trouble with finding food. It was pretty easy for me.
and as for me, the funny thing is I only like chicken. So chicken was good here every time I did get it. One time I tried a Napoleon style Milanese, which I thought was going to be chicken. I later learned that chicken Milanesas are called Supremas. So what I had was a veal Milanese. And I also liked it. But our friends, Carlos and Lori, when they were here, they went to all of the famous restaurants, El Fogon, Don Julio. They spent like $300 US for two of them, with pairing with wines, and they said it was really really good. So if you are a red meat lover, Buenos Aires is a good spot. Argentina is a good spot.
What do you think about the nightlife? It seems like there's one thing we didn't talk about is that the alcohol, for some reason, is very inexpensive.
Oh
Like
yeah.
like a large bottle of vodka, for example, would be $10. So I don't know what's going on with the nightlife is nice because there's a lot of patios, so people like sitting on the patio and having dinner, and they eat late. Um, but yeah, I mean,
People eat around 9 or 10 p.m. here for their dinner because they have a median.
Marienda, yeah, it's like Europe style nightlife, I
So they have
guess.
4 meals a
So,
day. But I think that we also saw just the apparel and Campari big bottles that are like now 18 euros when we were last in Italy are only 8 or 9 thousand here pesos, which is about $8, $9 US. That was weird because some things are cheap and some things are expensive.
what was your favorite thing that you saw here? Tourist attraction.
Mm, I really liked San Telmo Market. It was one of the most unique markets we saw in the world, just with how it's designed, what's inside, and the surrounding district is really beautiful.
I really like they have like an alternative. They had a whole mall uh, dedicated to tattoos and like counterculture mall,
Oh yeah, that's
which I've
Adam's
never
favorite.
seen before, which was super cool.
It's
And
called Bond Street.
yeah, Bond Street. I like that. I liked the graveyard. I saw it from the window of the mall
Recoleta
because
Cemetery.
it just doesn't make. It's just not moral for me to pay $30 to see a cemetery. To me, it's like profiteering off someone's death. It's not cool. So I really don't like that. I don't see how you could charge for a cemetery. Like, I can understand like accepting donations or like a small fee, like $2, but 20 something dollars US to enter a cemetery. Sorry, but that's it's not something's immoral in my opinion about that. So I protested, and obviously I was never gonna pay that anyways.
I think it was free a few years ago because I saw
It
people other
was,
people's YouTubes and they entered for free.
yeah. Well, it's no longer free, so don't go there unless you really, really want to see it. But there's a window of the mall next to the cemetery where you can kind of see the top, and it looks super cool.
The
Um,
Recoleta Urban Mall.
and there's by the cemetery, there's a lot of rooftop patios for that you can get drinks at, and you can see the cemetery there as well. So you don't have to spend that much. Um, the restaurants are expensive. Everything's expensive except for housing and alcohol. So I don't know.
And mate.
And mate, alcohol, and housing. That's what you can afford here. The rest is like New York or Toronto prices for things. Sometimes, yeah, the drinks, yeah, like alcohol, like drinks are cheap, but food is expensive. How did you have to use Spanish a lot, or how did you get around?
So we both do Duolingo and we don't speak it fluently. I can read a lot of the sentences, but when it's spoken out loud, especially with various accents, in my own bad Spanish accent, people can't understand me and I can't understand them unless they speak super slowly. And I found that here in Buenos Aires, everyone speaks English, varying degrees of English, but most speak medium to a good level of English. And what about you?
Yeah, I tried my best to not speak English, but sometimes we had to because it was too difficult, and there wasn't really any time where we didn't use translator at all. We were able to get around without using translator for much, but yeah, um,
Even the
I wouldn't
menus.
say it's a problem. Oh yeah, they also have English menus a
Yeah.
lot of the time.
But even the menus when it was in Spanish, I mean, like we were able to understand it.
Yeah, yeah,
You know all of the meats, you know when it says vegetarian,
yeah. I know.
tofu. Yeah,
Yeah, this isn't really a problem for us.
not a problem.
So if you have basic Spanish, you'll be fine. And
And
yeah,
even if you know just English, will people be fine?
a lot of people spoke English, like
Yeah, English
a
only.
lot
A lot of
here.
people.
Yeah.
And what about the currency situation?
We used an ATM just to get cash for tips because the way the card machine works is it doesn't ask you for a tip here. Like you have to pay the amount and then give a cash tip, or you have to tell them you want to add money for a tip to the bill, which I don't know if that actually goes to the employee or not. So that's why I don't do that.
Hmm. But we,
But the tip percentage they request is 10% here.
mhm,
It's pretty reasonable.
mhm, much more reasonable than Canada.
And the service is not, I wouldn't say the service is super fast and annoying like in America or Canada, but it's not super slow either like Europe. It's like somewhere in between. It's quite nice.
But it's similar to Europe in that they don't rush us to go out at
Yeah.
any point.
They don't rush you, but they bring the food pretty fast and take your order fast.
Hmm.
But they don't rush you to leave, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And for our tip money that we got out from the ATM, that was sort of a bad idea. So here's a tip for you. Try to bring US dollar bills in good condition to exchange it at any of the cambios around town. There's lots. Um, then you can not pay $11 to get out a maximum of $70 US equivalent. So we kind of got ripped off there, but that was because we didn't learn it beforehand. But as of right now, you actually don't really need to use cash or line up at Western Union. That's a thing of the past. You just need to use your credit card or your debit card, and you'll get almost like a equivalent rates to if you were to take out cash without the hassle of waiting in line at a Western Union.
Yeah. Um, they have cash for everything. They have a 10 cash that's worth 10 cents US. Um,
Well, that's because
obviously,
of the
there's
inflation.
major inflation, so yeah, like you're using like $10,000 bill for things.
Mhm.
How did you feel about the safety level of this area?
We felt like it was extremely safe. We've been to many places around the world. Um, I feel like it's at the level of Paris and Rome, and slightly safer than Mexico City and Sao Paulo, which are other metropolises that are big and quite safe in my opinion. I felt very safe walking around here. I do sometimes see people wearing their bags in front, but I think that's like a good precaution to do in crowded space areas like the subway or Florida Street, which is a really popular pedestrian street in the microcentro. But as a solo female, I also felt safe walking around, even at nighttime. Coming back from a club with Lorena, we just walked and we separated ways. A short walk in Palermo at nighttime, I felt safe. I'm not sure about all other neighborhoods, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, it didn't really feel unsafe at any moment. So I don't think that's a huge concern. I think you
Mhm.
should just exercise normal city safety rules,
Mhm.
and you'll be fine.
Another question: do you feel like in Argentina they have that attitude of gringos go home? We dislike foreigners.
I don't know. I didn't get a sense of any hostility towards us.
Yeah, not at all.
So I doesn't seem like they cared too much. And like I said, the housing is still really cheap. So I'm hoping that the locals can still afford it.
Yeah,
I'm sure they can. It's not like saturated by digital nomads or anything. It
yeah.
seems like.
Ever since the new president Milei came into office, a lot of the currencies meshed up together into just one currency, so it became equally expensive for foreigners and locals. So if you're a foreigner and you're American, especially, we're Canadians, don't say everything is still cheap when you come here because it's not.
Yeah, you got to be sensitive because still a lot of inflation, and so
Yeah.
I don't know how salaries and wages are keeping up with that here.
Yeah, we find restaurants here to be more expensive than back in Canada. Um, a good example is in Recoleta. We went to this pasta Italian restaurant. Each pasta was 28,000 pesos before tip. So two pasta is 56 before tip. So that's around $62 US after tipping for a two course or a two person's pasta lunch meal. without drinks.
Yeah.
And what kind of music have you heard around here in Buenos Aires?
Um, I don't know. What about you?
Um, so far, we heard that tango. We still have yet to go see a show. We're gonna try to do that in the next 2 days. But we heard tango music when we visited La Boca and San Telmo. And also, cachengue is their local version of a mesh between reggaeton, I think cumbia, and techno. But that's called cachengue as well. And also, locals love a good party. We found that like the Palermo Soho neighborhood is really young, so a lot of young adults go there. And Recoleta has a more older crowd, and along the river, the Rio de Plata, there's more of an older crowd as well. So if you guys have made it this far, thanks for watching. And any comments or questions, just put it below and like and subscribe. Next up, we'll be going to Rio de Janeiro. Our second and last Mundo Lingo. I got a Guinness look-alike that's called Porter. Adam got the blind. Basically, they give you a flag. We walked 20 minutes here and we're sweating. But the good thing about this place, which is a mess